Discover incredible life-changing truths, 10 heartwarming morning speeches revealed to inspire you. Every year, the small town of Maplewood rolled through summer into fall with the steady heartbeat of its community, a serendipitous rhythm of life that Maya Garcia felt all too keenly. At 16, she stood at the crossroad of soaring dreams and harsh realities. Since her mother's passing, the weight of her father's sacrifices pressed heavily on her heart. His 3 jobs were a testament to resilience, but each hour he toiled whispered in Maya's ear that she was just another girl from a struggling family. Sitting in the cafeteria, where laughter was often shadowed by judgment, Maya felt invisible. It seemed her classmates only saw her economic background, a label she couldn't shake. The idea of not living up to her father's legacy consumed her, tossing doubt into her mind like a stormy wind. Little did she know, a flicker of hope would soon ignite a morning speech competition announced by the principal. Suddenly, the notion of sharing her story blossomed. The urge to voice her struggles awakened a passion. She wanted to encapsulate her father's work ethic, the sleepless nights, the early mornings, and his unwavering strength. But self-doubt chained her thoughts. Did anyone care what she had to say? In a town where the whisper of judgment felt louder than her dreams, those nagging questions settled around her like a heavy fog. In an unexpected turn, Maya began helping Mr. Thompson, her quiet neighbor, a war veteran wrestling with PTSD. He seemed enshrouded in silence, his eyes holding stories untold. Each interaction chipped away at her assumptions, revealing the depth of his struggles. His own sacrifices mirrored her father's. More than just a neighbor, he became a mentor, a life map guiding her toward newfound strength. Before she knew it, the day of the competition loomed overhead. Her doubts tangled again, whispering that her voice would falter under the spotlight. Just as she contemplated backing out, memories of hours spent with Mr. Thompson flashed through her mind, the way he spoke about camaraderie, how sacrifice was often cloaked in silence. Both he and her father lived lives of quiet strength, they deserved to be heard. As she stood backstage, her heart raced. She needed this, for herself and for them. And as the crowd filled the auditorium, she could feel the weight of admiration and expectation. It wasn't just about winning, it was about amplifying the voices they had previously overlooked. There was something electric in the air as she stepped up to the microphone. With every breath she took, she felt her father's spirit alongside her, the quiet determination that fueled her heart. Just as she was about to begin, she spotted a familiar face in the crowd, someone who had once dismissed her in the halls of school. The flicker of surprise in their eyes pushed her to move forward. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Maya's voice wavered, but it held the essence of struggle and a call to resilience. She poured out stories that intertwined hope and despair, weaving an emotional tapestry reflecting the veteran's sacrifices and her father's unnoticed heroism. As she exclaimed, "We are more than our backgrounds, we carry the weight of our stories and the strength of our family," the audience leaned in closer, their expressions shifting from judgment to awe. But right at the peak of her speech, as she drew a breath for her final words, Maya paused, heart in her throat. She could feel the air thicken, palpable with tension. Could this dream of hers finally take flight, or would it crash in silence, just like so many hopes before? Maya stood in front of the microphone, her palms clammy and her heart racing like a drumbeat in her ears. The auditorium was silent now, every pair of eyes glued to her. It was as if time stood still, waiting for her to unleash the words that had been dancing in her mind for weeks. She knew this was a moment that could change everything. Or would it crash in silence? She mumbled to herself, the anxiety twisting her stomach into knots. But in that daunting moment, she saw the faces around her shifting from skepticism to curiosity. With a deep breath, she pushed aside her self-doubt and remembered the wisdom Mr. Thompson had shared. You are more than the obstacles you face, you are the strength you carry. Taking that advice to heart, she opened her mouth and found her voice. I'm Maya Garcia, she began, a tremor in her voice that slowly steadied. Today, I want to talk about courage, the courage to face life's difficulties, but also the courage to share our stories. As she spoke, her sincerity wrapped around the audience like a warm embrace. She relayed the late-night talks with her father, how his dreams for her stretched beyond the horizon, and how she had always wanted to make him proud. She shared the memories of her mother, a beacon of love and wisdom whose voice echoed in her heart. This was more than a competition, it became a tribute to her past and present. Maya glanced down at her scribbled notes, but the words faded away as the need to express from the heart took over. I learned that vulnerability is not weakness, it's a gateway to connection. When we allow ourselves to be seen, we inspire others to do the same. A few noses scrunched up in confusion, but she continued, unfazed. She spoke about Mr. Thompson and how his story had touched hers. The courage he showed battling his demons, the way he sat quietly, listening to her fears, reminding her that it's okay to ask for help. Then, she pivoted to her classmates. Each of us has a struggle, some loud, some soft, all profound. We are more alike than we are different. Each of our stories mattered. So why don't we listen more? Why don't we uplift each other? With those words, she could see heads nodding, an unspoken recognition beginning to swell in the room. Maya's cheeks flushed, and the nerves that had held her hostage began to melt away. In their place surged a powerful current of connection, of shared humanity. And that is what I hope we remember, she said, her voice rising with a fresh urgency. We are not just statistics or stereotypes. We are the dreams, fears, and hopes of our families. We're all fighters, drawn together by our shared experiences. The applause roared through the auditorium as she reached her conclusion. Maya's heart soared. In that moment, she didn't just feel accepted, she felt understood. The barriers she thought were insurmountable began to dissolve, replaced by a shared hope for community and support. But just when she thought everything had settled, a familiar voice cut through the applause, resonating with an authority that sent a chill down her spine. But what if you're wrong? Maya turned to see who had spoken. It was someone from her past, a face she never thought would come back to haunt her, Laura, the girl who had too often been at the other end of her worst fears, a reminder of every judgment she had ever faced. Maya's breath caught in her throat. What could Laura possibly mean? Was this a challenge, a setback in a moment she thought was so triumphant? With her pulse racing, she waited for the next words that could change everything. Maya's heart pounded as all eyes shifted toward Laura. She couldn't shake the old memories swirling around her, lunches filled with silence, unwanted whispers, a constant pull of insecurity. The girl who had once made her feel small now stood before her, casting shadows on the moment she thought she had claimed as hers. What do you mean? Maya asked, forcing the words out, her voice barely above a whisper. Laura smirked, a look full of knowing. You talk about connection and vulnerability. But what if people just don't care? The audience grew still, the tension thickening the air. Stomach churning, Maya searched for strength within. Do you really believe that? She shot back, surprising even herself. I know it's scary to be honest. But silence is even scarier. She felt the energy shift, murmurs rippling through the crowd as classmates leaned in, captivated. Somewhere deep inside, a switch flipped, igniting a rush of confidence. Laura's expression hardened for a moment, but then she laughed, a bitter sound that echoed in the hall. You think this changes anything? You're still the same girl hiding behind a mic, pretending everything is fine. Maya's cheeks burned, but the anger she felt for herself turned outward. And you're still waving your judgment like a flag. I'm talking about opening up, sharing, and connecting. It goes both ways. She didn't have plans for this confrontation, no rehearsed lines to fall back on, but her passion burned bright enough to carry her through. With every beat of her heart, the truth of her own words began to unfold. Maybe it's not about everyone caring. Maybe it's just about finding those who will. She cast her gaze around the room, meeting the eyes of her peers. We can't force connection, but we can create spaces where it's welcomed. There's strength in vulnerability, and if you don't see that, then you're missing out. Laura remained stone-faced, but the discontent in the audience shifted subtly. Maya could even see a few students nodding. The tension in her chest began to ebb, replaced by something new, a sense of purpose. Whatever comes next, I will own my story, she continued, her voice steady and sure. No one can take that away from me. Suddenly, a ripple of applause broke through the uncomfortable silence, and Maya felt a swell of warmth in her heart. Each clap was an echo of support, piling upon the last. It was exhilarating, liberating, as if she had finally found her place in the world. But just when she thought she had emerged victorious, Laura sneered, "You think this is a victory? Just wait until the next round. Let us see if your story holds up when faced with the truth." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. She hadn't considered the heat of the competition that lay ahead. What truths might come to light in that moment? Was her story truly strong enough to withstand scrutiny? The applause still rang in her ears, but the uncertainty settled in, a new obstacle lurking just around the corner. Engaging the crowd felt empowering, but could she maintain that momentum? With the weight of Laura's words lingering in her mind, Maya took a deep breath. The battle was far from over. She had claimed a small victory today, but the war for her identity had just begun. As she stepped down from the stage, adrenaline rushing through her veins, she wondered what truths would emerge next and if she could face them head-on. Maya's feet barely touched the ground as she walked away from the mic. The applause still echoed like a gentle wave behind her, washing away her earlier fears. She had stood up to Laura, maybe even found her voice. But then Laura's sneering words played in her mind, dragging her back down. Just wait until the next round. The thought curled around her heart, squeezing tight. What could Laura possibly reveal? The girl who always had something to say, or worse, something to expose. As classmates began to chatter excitedly about what they had just witnessed, transforming the hall into a buzzing hive, her stomach twisted with anxiety. Maya sought out her best friend, Sam. The familiar face was a beacon in the crowd, and Maya made her way through the throngs of students, each one catching snippets of conversation that buzzed about vulnerability, courage, and Laura's challenge. "Hey!" Sam exclaimed, clearly thrilled. "You were amazing up there. Did you see how people reacted?" Maya smiled, but her heart felt heavy. "I don't know, Sam. Laura's right about one thing. What if I can't keep up this momentum? What if I'm just a what?" Sam interrupted, a fierce glint in her eye. "A nobody. Please. You just spoke truth to power. You knocked it out of the park." For a brief moment, Maya's fears lifted, only to crash back down again. What if they all turn on me in the next round? What if I mess up or say something that makes me look weak? "You won't," Sam assured, nudging her shoulder. "You're not alone. Look around. You found your moment, and you ignited something. Besides, I'll be right here to help you. We've got your back." Maya appreciated the sentiment, but as students gathered in small groups around her, she couldn't shake the specter of doubt creeping back in. A spark of confidence fading under the weight of reality. The next round was approaching, and she didn't quite know what lay ahead. Conversations swirled, varied and loud. Maya tried to listen, to grasp the stories being shared, hoping to wrap herself in the collective energy. Her eyes caught a glimpse of a small group by the wall, their faces flushed with passion. They were sharing their own stories of difficulties, friendships, and dreams. Maya felt an unexplainable urge to be involved, to stand among them, but her fear clamped down once again. Sam nudged her again, a knowing smile on her face. "You can do this. Just take a breath." "Remember I know," Maya interrupted, trying to settle the rising panic. I don't want to let anyone down. What if they expect me to be perfect? Perfection is overrated, Sam replied simply. Your truth is enough, and so are you. That's what these people want to see, who you really are. Maya took a deep breath. The room felt like it was spinning, but she steadied herself. Sam was right. Perhaps this wasn't just about her. Perhaps it was about everyone in that room, connecting through their truths, the struggles they faced and the journeys they took. With renewed determination, she stepped toward the gathering, ready to share her voice again. Maybe this next round wouldn't just be a test, it would be a chance for growth, for connection, for real transformation. As she approached the circle, her heart raced, but she felt the warmth of solidarity. Whatever Laura had up her sleeve, Maya understood one thing: she was determined to own her story, now more than ever. And just as she prepared to share, Laura appeared at the edge of the crowd, a smirk crossing her face again. Looks like the next round is about to get really interesting, she called out, her tone saturated with mockery. Maya's heart dropped, dread pooling in her stomach. The stakes were raising, and she felt the first flush of anxiety wash over her anew. She knew she had to speak up, but what new truths would Laura drag out into the open? Uncertainty loomed like a storm cloud above her head. Could she still find her strength when it mattered most? The next chapter was waiting, and it promised to test everything she fought for. Maya could feel every pair of eyes on her, the weight of their expectations pressing down like a lead blanket. She swallowed hard, her throat tight as she glanced at Sam, who gave her an encouraging nod. In that moment, Maya understood that she wasn't just fighting for herself but for everyone who felt unseen and unheard. Okay, she whispered to herself, her heartbeat drumming in her ears. With every step she took toward the circle, the tension in her chest began to loosen just a little. She could hear the buzz of chatter around her, stories spilling like secrets from one group to the next. It was a tapestry of shared experiences, and she wanted to be a thread woven into it. But Laura's words hung heavy, dangerously close. Did she really want to invite unwanted scrutiny? What if the truths that resonated with others twisted back on her, exposing the cracks she desperately tried to hide? The gathering was alive with energy. Someone was recounting a painful breakup, a girl near the front spoke about her struggles with self-image, and laughter punctuated their tales. Maya took a deep breath and shifted her weight from one foot to another, trying to ignore the sinking feeling tugging at her gut. That's when she heard it. Maya. A voice boomed from across the room, stealing her focus. It was Lauren, bolstered by confidence, her eyes alight with mischief. What about you? Think you can handle the next round? Or do you have more secrets to hide? The collective gasp echoed through the space. She couldn't believe it. There it was, the cruelest jab disguising itself as a challenge. Uncertainty creeped back, cold and invasive. Maya felt her confidence plummet, leaving a bitter aftertaste in her mouth. That's rich coming from you, Sam shot back, stepping closer to Maya. Everyone knows you're just scared of what'll happen when people see through your act. But it didn't matter. Laura had planted doubt within Maya, whispering incessant reminders of her worthlessness. She felt small. Suddenly, all the energy in the room felt like it was draining away, and she wanted nothing more than to blend into the wall behind her. Enough. Maya found herself shouting, the electric rush surprising even her. It was raw and unfiltered. You're right, Laura. I'm scared. But you know what? I'm here right now, ready to take that chance. So if I'm going to fall, I'll do it on my own terms. A brief silence engulfed the hall. Maya stood frozen, her heart racing. She felt powered by something greater than fear. Perhaps it was desperation or perhaps courage. Whatever it was, something surged within her. Speaking is hard, she continued, softer now, vulnerability rolling off her tongue in waves. I've dealt with insecurities, laughed when I wanted to cry, and felt lost in my own skin. But standing up here, it reminds me of why I have to keep going. The murmurs around her faded into an inaudible buzz. Slowly, heads began nodding, expressions changing from skepticism to empathy. People were hearing her, absorbing her words. Suddenly, a voice emerged from the crowd. "You're brave, Maya. Keep going." It was a boy she barely knew, but his encouragement lit a fire in her heart. "Yeah," added another voice. "You're not alone in this." With that unexpected support, her insecurities began to shatter. As the warmth of the crowd enveloped her, she glanced at Sam, who beamed with pride. This moment mattered. "I've got my struggles," Maya repeated, her voice stronger now, "but they don't define me. Maybe we should all share our truths instead of hiding them. Together, we can face whatever comes next." A ripple of applause swept through the throng, lifting Maya higher. This was her turning point. Maybe it didn't matter what Laura had up her sleeve, what mattered was this moment. But just then, the power shifted. Laura stepped forward, her eyes narrowed, challenge glinting like ice. "So you've got courage now? Let us put that to the test. What if I expose the one thing that could bring you down?" Maya's breath caught in her throat. Could she handle whatever Laura was about to unleash? The stakes had climbed, and she could feel the pressure building again. The next round felt closer than ever, and Maya realized this wasn't just about words. It was about resilience and standing firm when everything felt precarious. She had come this far, but was she truly prepared for the truth that lay ahead? Maya's heart raced, caught between the anticipation of freedom and the fear of exposure. Laura stood there, a smirk playing at the corners of her lips, reveling in the power she wielded. The room's tension tightened, thick like fog, as all eyes shifted from Maya to Laura, awaiting the bombshell that felt inevitable. "Let us see how brave you really are, Maya," Laura taunted, her voice dripping with disdain. "I've seen you share smiles and laughs, but deep down, I know there's a darkness you're hiding. What if I say that I know why you avoid looking people in the eye? What if I tell them about the year you practically vanished?" A gasp rippled through the crowd, mingling with hushed whispers. Maya felt lightheaded, as if the floor beneath her was suddenly made of glass. She had tried so hard to keep that part of her life, that painful moment, buried. It felt like a punch to her gut, and she fought the urge to recoil. "You don't know anything," Maya blurted out, furious and desperate to protect the few fragile pieces of her identity. She clenched her fists, nails digging into her palms. "You don't get to dictate my story." But as her voice rose, Maya could feel a flicker of doubt. What if Laura did know? It wouldn't be the first time secrets were shared in venomous whispers. Each memory of late nights spent crying and days where she simply couldn't bring herself to show up loomed over her like storm clouds ready to unleash their fury. "I know all about how you thought you had no place here," Laura shot back, her confidence unwavering. "But here's the real question, are you ready for the truth? Because I've got it right here." The crowd held its breath, tension palpable. It was as if they were collectively leaning closer to the edge, waiting for a revelation that might shatter Maya's newfound courage. In an instant, unexpected fear surged through her veins. What if this was the moment everything she had said unraveled around her? But Sam stepped forward, determined and fierce. "Stop it, Laura!" he shouted, his voice strong and fierce in its defense of Maya. "All of us have our own stories, and they're not yours to exploit. If Maya wants to share her truth, she will. But not because you threaten her." His words ignited a wave of solidarity. Heads began nodding, as voices of support emerged from the crowd, soft yet steady. "Yeah. Let her tell it. We're here for her." Someone shouted, and cheers of agreement followed. Maya's heart swelled with gratitude, fueling her spirit. The fear still loomed ahead, but it dimmed under the warmth of their support. "Listen," Maya said, her voice steadier than moments before. "I don't owe anyone my past. Pain is a part of life, but it doesn't define who I am today. I'm more than my struggles, I'm what I choose to be moving forward." The room resonated with murmurs of admiration. She could see faces around her transforming from curiosity to recognition, and then to something greater, understanding. This was what she sought, a space where the weight of her burdens lightened, shared by hands reaching out, not pulling her down. As she reached for the strength within, Laura's expression shifted, a jagged edge of frustration forming beneath her cold facade. Maya turned her focus back to the crowd, feeling alive. I am ready to face my truth, whatever that may be. And if it includes the fears that keep me up at night, then so be it. But just as she felt the tides turning, Laura's voice pierced through again. Oh, you think you can stand tall? What if I reveal what your truth really means for all of us? Suddenly, the air felt electric again, almost crackling with tension as everyone waited for Maya's response. Could she fend off whatever Laura had planned? Would her moment of courage hold strong in the face of vulnerability, or would it collapse under the pressure? She couldn't turn back now. Not after everything she'd built. But deep within, she couldn't shake the thought, what was the truth that could change everything? And as the room hung in suspense, Maya realized this was more than just a story about her. It was about choosing to live beautifully despite the scars. What would be revealed next? It felt like the final piece was waiting to fall. What would she do if Laura aimed to tear it all apart? Maya stood firm, grounding herself as Laura's words hung like an uninvited storm cloud over the room. She could feel the weight of everyone's gazes pressing down, but in that moment, something inside her began to shift. The support she felt from Sam and the others ignited a small spark of confidence. Go ahead, Laura, she challenged, though her heart hammered against her ribcage. Tell them. If you think you can control the narrative, then do it. But just know that I won't be defined by your words or anyone else's. Laura's brow furrowed, momentarily surprised. Interesting choice, Maya. You think you're so strong, but your past is a thread that ties you down. Everyone out there has skeletons. Spoiler alert, yours just happens to be one of the bigger ones. Maya's breath quickened at the mention of her past. Memories flooded back, lonely evenings filled with doubt and despair. But that was then, wasn't it? The walls she had built around herself were starting to crumble. She had long felt like a ghost in her own story, and now she had a chance to rewrite it. Do I fear my past? Maya asked, her voice steady and determined. Yes. But I won't allow it to control my future. You think this is about fear? It's about growth. Every scar, every mistake has led me to this very moment. There was a sudden silence, the crowd rapt, some leaning in closer, eager for the outcome. Maya locked eyes with Sam, who nodded encouragingly. She speaks truth. Someone shouted from the back of the room. That simple shout was like a tidal wave, urging others to join in. We've got your back, Maya. Tell your story. Fueled by the energy around her, Maya took a deep breath, allowing herself to be vulnerable. I struggled with loneliness, she confessed. A lot. There were times I believed no one cared. I felt like a burden, but here, in this moment, I see that isn't true. You are all standing with me. And that means more than I can explain. Maya. Laura objected, irritation clear on her face. This isn't just about you. Your choices impact all of us. Maybe so, Maya replied, cutting through Laura's interruption. But I'm not ashamed of where I've been. I'm ready to transform that shame into something powerful. Just then, Laura's facade of composure began to crack, the smirk faltering. The crowd could sense it too. There was a shift, a collective energy coursing through them, like electricity building up. Every moment of fear I had created a space for courage, Maya continued, her words gaining momentum. What I've been through doesn't just belong to me, it belongs to anyone who has ever felt unseen. It's a reminder that we all hold power over our own stories. Suddenly, a tear slipped from her eye, not from sadness, but relief, from finally letting go. But Laura, still simmering, pointed an accusatory finger. And what about those who don't want to hear your truth? What happens to the narrative they've built in their minds? Maya could feel the impact of Laura's words, like a punch to her gut. But she stood tall. Then let them listen. We don't grow by hiding. If some can't understand me, that's their journey, not mine. As murmurings of agreement spread through the crowd, Laura's anger became palpable, bubbling beneath the surface. For the first time, Maya saw what it looked like when someone's grip on power began to slip. And just as the moment seemed to swing in favor of Maya, Laura's eyes narrowed, a sense of determination shifting in her demeanor. You're naive to think this ends here, Maya. You've played your hand, but you have no idea what I hold. At that instant, the atmosphere thickened. The stakes climbed higher. Maya had stepped into her own power, but what was Laura really capable of? Maya felt her heartbeat quicken. This was becoming a game of chess, and she didn't have all the pieces. What was Laura planning to unveil? Would the strength that surged from the crowd be enough to face whatever was coming next? Maya breathed in deeply, ready to confront the shadows. This was only the beginning of her story. But what lay ahead felt far more daunting, and she needed to prepare for the next round of revelations. What truth could Laura possibly unveil that would shake her resolve? Maya's thoughts raced as she felt the tension weave through the room like an unbreakable thread. It wasn't just the crowd's energy that fueled her, it was the fire within herself, ignited by her declaration of strength. But Laura wasn't finished. You think this is about empowerment? Laura scoffed, her voice dripping with sarcasm. You're just masking your insecurities with a pretty little speech. You're about to realize how fragile your little fantasy truly is. With that, Laura stepped forward, a serpent ready to strike. The crowd's energy shifted, apprehension flickering in their eyes. Maya could see the unease reflected in their faces, but she couldn't let fear creep back in. She squared her shoulders, ready to face whatever Laura had up her sleeve. Remember, Laura continued, her tone now low and methodical, truth is subjective. What if I told everyone about the things you think you've buried? The mistakes that shaped who you are. Maya's heart dropped. She had fought hard to put her past behind her, to be more than the sum of her mistakes. Could Laura really lay it all bare? The silence that followed was charged. The air felt electric, thick with anticipation. Laura was right, everyone had secrets. Was she about to expose the darkest corners of Maya's life? Maya's palms were clammy, but determination tightened her gut. This was her moment to reclaim her narrative. No matter what you say, it won't shake my truth, she replied, her voice stronger than she felt. You can't take away what I've learned, what I've grown from. Laura stepped closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. But what if those around you see you as just a broken thing? Can you fight them if they doubt you? If I expose the parts of your history you would prefer stay hidden? A low murmur rippled through the crowd, uncertainty pricking at Maya's heart as she saw their expressions, shadows of doubt flickering on their faces. Maya took a deep breath, steadying herself against the onslaught of fear. What's the worst you could say? She asked, forcing a laugh that felt hollow. Go ahead, lay it out. The more you share, the more I can own it. Laura smirked as if Maya had played right into her hands. You really think you can handle that? Yes. Maya declared, her voice ringing louder, drowning out the whispers. Yes, because I don't want my past to wear the mantle of shame anymore. I refuse to be the victim of someone else's narrative. My strength doesn't come from pretending to be perfect. It's found in scars, in the things I've survived. The murmuring surged again, and several faces brightened with understanding. People leaned in closer, drawn to Maya's fearless defiance. Laura's expression soured, clearly thrown off balance by Maya's conviction. But before Maya could feel the victory of their shift, Laura flicked her hand dismissively. Very good, Maya. But let us not forget that there are people who don't care about your courage. They define you by your past, and I will make sure they see exactly what you're hiding." With that, the air shifted yet again. It wasn't just a battle of words anymore, it was a battle for the very essence of who Maya was. Was she strong enough to withstand the truth Laura sought to unearth? Maya's heart raced, but she stood resolute. "I'm ready for it." The silence broke, but there was no way to prepare for what Laura might unleash next. The crowd buzzed with conflicting emotions: hope, fear, confusion. Maya felt the weight of their hopes and doubts, seeping into her own core. What secrets could Laura expose? What if those revelations were worse than she feared? Maya inhaled deeply, determination coursing through her veins, prepared to face whichever shadows awaited, knowing the strength of her community was at her back. But in those seconds of impending uncertainty, she wondered, could she truly stay grounded in her truth when Laura's words echoed louder than her resolve? Maya could feel her throat tighten as the anticipation wrapped itself around her like a heavy cloak. The crowd leaned in, some faces curious, others wary. There was power in vulnerability, she reminded herself, but would it be enough? Laura smirked, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "You think I need to dig deep? Just a quick reveal, and they'll know exactly how you once lived. How you were, broken. Can you handle that, Maya?" "Try me," Maya replied, keeping her chin up, even as her insides twisted. Laura stepped back, surveying the crowd as if they were her soldiers. Maya was in deep, She can talk about overcoming hardship, but what about the truth behind her facade? A reckless youth, bad choices, a troubled heart. How many of you knew she almost lost everything? Gasps echoed through the crowd. Faces shifted, skepticism painted across their features. Maya's heart thundered in her chest. She had fought hard to defend her truth, but now Laura was wielding her past like a weapon, unleashing it without mercy. "Don't believe it!" Maya shouted, trying to break through Laura's grip on their attention. "That was a long time ago. I'm not that person anymore." Laura raised an eyebrow, enjoying the tension she had created. "But have you really moved on? Or are you simply hiding? You want them to believe in your heart, but they'll always remember the chaos you left behind." Each word from Laura felt like a stab. Maya could see glimmers of doubt flicker in some eyes, shadows of pity and disdain swirling together. For every person who had believed in her, it seemed there were two ready to turn away. Could she really win them back? But deep within her, a spark ignited. She had defeated darkness before. The shadows that Laura conjured wouldn't claim her. "I'm not ashamed of my past," Maya declared, her voice ringing clear. "I made mistakes. I learned. We all have our stories. Mine just happens to be louder, sharper." While some faces showed concern, others began to nod. The energy softened, shifting as flashes of empathy joined the electricity in the room. Maya felt their energy, a pulsing force that began to lift her. "Tell me," Maya continued, her tone shedding its previous urgency, becoming almost gentle. "Who here doesn't have a past? Who hasn't struggled or faced the weight of their decisions? My story doesn't define me, it is a chapter. I refuse to be painted into a corner by my history." Maya locked eyes with a few souls in the crowd. She needed to connect. "It's not about where I came from, but where I'm going," she said softly. "That's what strength is. It's not the absence of scars but how we choose to embrace them." The crowd hung on her words, and she could feel walls crumbling at least for some. But Laura had not yet finished. "You can spin your narrative all you want, but they will remember. They will judge. And when they look at you, all they will see is the wreckage." Maya's breath caught. Would she falter now? Would doubt creep inside? A surge of protective energy rose up in her. "But I'll be brave enough to face it. I'll wear my scars with pride. You can't take that away from me." The applause came softly at first, a ripple that soon grew into a wave of support. Maya felt each hand clapping, each shout lifting her. She realized then how many people craved connection, how many were fighting battles of their own. Laura's expression twisted as she realized she was losing control. For a moment, she faltered, glancing back at the crowd. Maya seized the moment. I stand here today, not as a victim, but as a testament to resilience, to growth. This is my truth, my life, and no one can take that from me. And with that, everyone erupted into applause, validation pouring forth like a sudden rain. Maya closed her eyes for just a moment, savoring the power of the moment, the strength of the crowd now on her side. But in that instant of triumph, she felt a dark shadow flicker behind her. What if Laura wasn't done yet? What if this was just the calm before an even bigger storm? A feeling of dread pulled at her. Maya opened her eyes, her heart racing again, ready for whatever came next. Was she truly prepared for the fallout ahead? And what would the crowd think when Laura finally played her last card? Maya's pulse raced as she surveyed the crowd, the applause ringing in her ears like a warm embrace, but dread was quick to rise again. Laura loomed nearby, an ill-intentioned specter, ready to rip through the fabric of the moment Maya fought so hard to weave. You think this applause means anything? You think they've really accepted you? Laura's voice sliced through the chatter, chilling the air. I've just begun to untangle the layers of your reality, and trust me, your truth is far from glamorous. The crowd looked uneasy, whispers flocking like startled sparrows. Maya felt her stomach twist, those familiar fears threatened to claw their way back. Did they see her as broken? Did they look at the shattered pieces, not the mosaic she had become? She quickly caught Sam's eye, who was rooting for her with every ounce of his spirit. Laura, she snapped, pulling away from the grip of doubt, you can expose whatever you want, but I'm done hiding from my past. Whatever you throw at me, I can handle it. Deep down, Maya realized this was her crossroads. It wasn't just about the applause, it was about her vulnerability, her courage to stand firm against whatever narrative was thrown in her direction. You're so naive. You think standing tall now will shield you? Laura's words dripped with disdain, but they no longer held power over Maya. The whispers of vulnerability echoed through her mind. She was here. She was present. Maya took a step closer, fueled by a newfound determination. I'm not afraid of what you might say because I know my journey is valid and worthwhile. Every scar, every mistake, those pieces shaped who I am today. You can't redefine me with your words. For a moment, silence filled the auditorium. Laura's lips pressed into a thin line of disapproval, bewildered by Maya's refusal to be controlled. Well, why don't we let them hear it? Laura proposed, a wicked gleam in her eye. Let us share those ugly parts of your story, shall we? The times you doubted yourself? The moments you thought you wouldn't make it out alive? Maya inhaled sharply, the shadows from her past loomed larger than ever. Every instance of despair, every moment spent lost in confusion, but she couldn't let them take her down again. This wasn't just about her resilience, it was about the collective understanding of struggle. Bitter moments are clumsy, messy, but they are also the seeds of something beautiful. The moments of despair, she began, her voice gaining confidence with every spoken word, are part of the fabric that makes me who I am. I faced those dark days, yes, felt utterly hopeless. But it's through sharing them that I realized how not alone I was. And today, I stand not in fear of those memories, but infused with the strength I discovered in my recovery. With every word, Maya felt the comfort of the crowd's acceptance returning, igniting a spark of resilience that would not be extinguished so easily. She locked eyes with a few familiar faces, seeking connection, shared humanity, sparks of recognition glittering between them. Let us open our hearts together. She exclaimed. Yes, I have fears, yes, I made mistakes. But every time I fell, I picked myself back up, learning and growing. No one can define me but myself. The energy pulsed through the room again, a mix of panic and clarity. Students glanced at one another, expressions shifting as they absorbed Maya's message. She watched the tide begin to turn, her fears receding as hope rushed in. Laura crossed her arms, clearly annoyed but trapped in the tide of Maya's passion. "You're losing them, Laura," Maya declared, her tone strong and unwavering. "This isn't about me, or even you. It's about all of us understanding struggle, celebrating that we rise from the ashes." Something changed in the crowd. Heads nodded, eyes widened. Maya saw glimpses of encouragement dance in their expressions. Many had their own battles, their own stories woven beneath the surface. "Together, we transcend misunderstandings," Maya said, her heart pounding in rhythm with her words. "Every story matters. Let us be brave enough to share them, lift each other up instead of tearing one another down." Applause erupted again, thunderous and robust, rising above the noise of Laura's dissatisfaction. The crowd wasn't just clapping for her, they were clapping for everyone who had ever felt small, lost, or unseen. But Laura wasn't done yet. Even amidst the tide, she stepped back, gathering her thoughts, her face hardening once again. "Let us see if your facade holds up. Who here knows she nearly lost everything from one reckless moment? Who here knows why she felt so different?" The anxiety surged back, tangling with the current of support coursing from the crowd. Did they know? Would they judge? Maya felt a moment of weakness, but no, she wouldn't let Laura win. "That moment made me realize what truly matters," Maya yelled, projecting her spirit. "It's not about the fall, it's about how you rise after. The journey of ups and downs connects us all." This was her moment to validate not just herself, but everyone present. She needed to keep that momentum. Turning to the crowd, she said, "Together we can create a community where we acknowledge our battles. It doesn't matter if you stumble, what matters is that we provide each other with the strength to stand." A wave of shouts and cheers exploded, and Maya felt emboldened by their support. The air was electric, and she could feel the resolve filter through the room. Laura's expression hardened as she watched her grip slip away, fingers uncurling from the narrative she tried to wield. "Let us celebrate strength," Maya shouted, her heart full. "And embrace every scar as a badge of honor. Fear may still visit us, but we are not victims, together we are warriors." With her final plea echoing, the applause roared louder than before. Maya felt the exhilaration wash over her, cradling her in a wave of acceptance and solidarity. As the clapping thundered, Maya envisioned light breaking through the clouds that had hung over her past. Life had been a deep pool of shadows, but she had chosen to stand, to embrace her truth. And as she slid off the stage, breathless yet full, she realized she had found not just her voice, but her community. The next chapter was waiting to be embraced, and she was ready. Now was the time to cherish her journey, to weave her story alongside the countless others longing for resilience. True transformation had taken place not just in herself, but in every person who dared to share their truth. This was the moment that would change everything, a moment to ignite hearts and dare the world not to relent in the face of adversity. And with that, everything felt different. Everything felt possible. As they stepped into the future, they each carry a little flame of hope, and together, they light the way for one another. This was their collective truth, and it was only the beginning. Maya smiled, radiating with the warmth of courage ahead. Now, each one of them had the power to fight their storms, and that meant everything. So, dear viewers, if this story of transformation has touched your heart, you need to subscribe now to follow more incredible journeys. Leave a like, and let's feed this algorithm to help inspire even more people together. Comment below your thoughts. Share your feelings about Maya's journey. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation. True fans support the channel, and your voice matters.